Guys, I'm the NFL Addict, and today we are going to be looking at my top 5 destinations for Deshaun Watson. I've looked at every single team. I've looked at their cap space. I've looked at, how much draft capital they have, how big their need for quarterbacks are, and I have ranked them on where I think he will be starting next year. Now, this isn't necessarily your trading. The Texans could be on this list, so just these are the top 5 teams that I think he could end up being on next year, because he demanded a trade, but we still don't know 100% that he is going to be traded. So we'll get to that later. Let's go ahead and get started with number 5, because we're going to count down. And the 5th team, I think, is a team that not very many people are going to be talking about or are talking about, but it is a team that I think I would not be surprised to see him going to, are the Jacksonville Jaguars. Actually, they have the number 1 cap space. All right, they have the most cap space out of any team at $69 million in cap space, so they could definitely afford him. He does have a hefty contract too, which is one of the reasons I was looking at cap space. I think he's due to get around $20 million next year. So if you don't have that much cap space, then you're probably not going to want him. They also have lots of draft capital. They actually have 11 total picks this year, and the reason I have them down at the bottom is, one, because they're going into a rebuild. All right, and it's going to cost a lot to get Deshaun Watson, not just in money-wise, but what you're going to have to trade. You're going to be, trading lots of picks, probably multiple first-rounders for years to come. And, they do have 11 total picks. And you could see that as, oh, yeah, man, they could go out there and they could definitely trade for him. They definitely could trade for him if they wanted to. However, you also looking to say, hey, they're going into a rebuild. Obviously, they just won 3 games in one season. That's nowhere near good. And you have 11 picks in your first year. They have 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders. They have a lot of capital there. And I think they'll, probably want to keep all that so they can draft a good team and maybe, get the foundation started next year to quickly get out of this rebuild. So, while, yes, I definitely would not be surprised to see Deshaun Watson going to them, I also think, it'd be beneficial for the Jaguars just to keep their picks. Maybe not do too much of free agency. I don't know. I just feel like trading for Deshaun Watson, while yes, it definitely would boost them, I feel like they might be able to do better by using their 11 draft picks to get some weapons, and maybe see if Sam Darnold can lead them. I know, he's been in the league for 3 years right now, and he hasn't really done much, but he is still young, and there is still time to come. Sorry if I'm being too loud. And the 4th team is another dark horse of a team that I think could get them. We have the Washington football team. There's really only 2 or 3 teams that could actually get him, so these bottom teams are kind of just ones I wouldn't be surprised to see him going to him, but it's not like 100% possible. We got Washington. They already have a really good defense. Their offense, they've got some stars in there, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, but their offense is definitely holding them back. They could if their offense was as good as their defense, they could win lots of games. And I think a good quarterback, if they manage to get Deshaun Watson, they could potentially be, contenders next year. Definitely within their division, which, a lot of you look at the Giants, look at Washington, even the Cowboys, they do have bright futures. So, it could be beneficial. So I definitely think, adding Deshaun Watson could bump them up. However, they only have, they do have 8 picks, but most of those are in the late rounds. You have 2 7ths, and, 1 first and 1 second. So, I don't know. It would take a lot of, future picks for them to get Deshaun Watson, and I just don't know if that would be worth it for them. They would have to probably, basically drain their picks for next year and probably add, a first and second from this year. So it would cost a lot. And while they're not, they're coming out of a rebuild. They're not out of it just yet. They are still, they don't have a good quarterback yet. Deshaun Watson could solve that problem, and they definitely need to get more weapons. So I definitely think, they may want to, it's kind of the same situation as the Jaguars, they may want to hang on to those picks. So yeah, that's why I have him at 4th. But I definitely think with $33 million in cap space and all those picks, they could potentially trade for him, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them do it, because while yes, they do need a lot more pieces, adding a quarterback this offseason could solve their problems in one swift move. The 3rd place team, this is a team that I honestly, the Washington and Jaguars, they're really teams that would not be surprised, like I said earlier, to see him go to, but I'm not like dead set on he's going to go there. The 3rd team, though, I'm definitely like, yeah, there's definitely a possibility, 100% he could go there. And this could be a surprise. We have the Miami Dolphins. And this is because you would say, oh, they have, Tua. But Tua did definitely underperform last year. He looked pretty good in his first 3 or 4 games, but after that, I mean, it was kind of, shown that it was mainly his defense. He wasn't playing as well in those last couple of games. He really had a chance to take him to the playoffs, and he completely screwed that up. I mean, it was like Ryan Fitzpatrick. You could say, oh, well, he went out there and he won like all but like 2 of the games that he started in. You look at a lot of his games, a lot of those are he started the first 3 quarters. They were losing pretty badly. Fitzmagic comes in and wins the game for him. You saw that in, I don't know, you saw that in a lot of games. The one I think everyone remembers is the Raiders game where he came in there and had an amazing throw. And plus, they only have 6 total draft picks. However, I do believe that they could, trade Tua away, get a lot more picks or something, and go ahead and trade for Deshaun Watson. So I know right now it doesn't seem like that much, but look, they have $25 million in cap space, so they can probably afford him. And if they add Deshaun Watson on, like I said, their defense carried them. With Fitzmagic in there, they're able to win a lot of games. So I feel like, if they add Deshaun Watson, kind of like Washington, except for they're way better, I feel like they could do something. So I feel like the best situation for the Dolphins would be to trade Tua away and then go for Deshaun Watson. Just go all in, throw all the chips on the table. Because I feel like there are probably teams out there that would trade a lot for Tua right now because he's a young player who didn't look terrible last year. So yeah, they would be higher up if Tua had played horrendously. And second, surprise, we have the Houston Texans because. One, he was really the only good part of their team offense, at least last year. I mean, he was carrying them. You look at all the stats, and he was really the only one going out there and playing really well. And also, they have shown. I mean, he's demanded a trade, but other than that, they haven't really shown that much interest. Their general manager actually said that he has 0 interest in trading him at all. And that's definitely going to have a lot to do with them trading him. However, I do think, for the right price, their team would probably go, hey, scoot away. Because I don't think that organization is ready to go through a rebuild just yet. I think they're saying, we got J.J. Watt, we've got a young quarterback. We do have Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller. That offense isn't terrible. If we can add some more pieces, maybe get a good running back in there, maybe we could salvage this and be a contender again next year and not go into a rebuild. So that is why I have them at second, because I really, really doubt that they'll want to trade him away. However, if they do, and the number 1 team that I think will end up with him, this is the team that I think he will be starting for next year, are the New York Jets. And this is because they have, just kind of like the Jaguars, they have $65 million in cap space. They have the second most. And also they have some high draft capital, and a lot of it's in the, first rounds. They have 2 first rounders, 2 third rounders, and they have a lot less farther back. So they could definitely trade for him pretty easily. They have $65 million in cap space, and I honestly think that, I just think that they're going to be able to do it. You got $65 million. They can get some more, free agents. They can definitely afford him. And I just feel like the Jets are going to end up with Deshaun Watson next year. So if you come up to me and you ask me, hey, who do you think is going to get Deshaun Watson out of, the Jaguars, Washington Dolphins, and the Texans, I would have to say the Jets. Okay, or over all those, not out of. So yeah, the Jets, I feel like Deshaun Watson will be starting for the Jets, and if not the Jets and the Texans, then the Dolphins, Washington, Jaguars, and then all the other 27 teams. Now, if you're asking me who do I think is least likely to get him, probably the Saints. Now, if Drew Brees stays around, it's definitely the Saints that I think will not end up with him. So, this is actually kind of my first video where I'm talking about, the reason it was so rusty is because this is actually my first video talking about where a free agent will go. So I'm going to get better at this. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh, he's so rusty, he doesn't know what to talk about, it's because I only started doing these videos, I think, last April, and the support from you guys has been amazing. But hopefully I will get better. Let me know if I should do anything different in the comments. Please subscribe here. I am going to try to post videos a lot more often than I have been, and I hope to see you in my next one, where I probably will be talking about Cam Newton. I'm pretty sure.